Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Variable Action Heroes Portgas D Ace, which is a really cool figure. Before we get into the figure, let's take a look at the packaging, because I know you guys like that. Nice window box, has the art along the side. It's kind of a narrow and tall box, which I do like. It's a little bit of a different variety than some of the other imports. You get to see the figure on the side there. The name, there's the name in Japanese. Mega House, there's the license, and then some posing options on the back that show how cool this figure can be. And I like the way the artwork wraps around the side there. So there's the package. Let's look at the figure. If you guys aren't familiar with the Variable Action Hero line, check out my Luffy and Trafalgar Law reviews. I've already done those, so check those out if you haven't already. Really cool figures. This guy stands about 7¼ inches tall, which makes him roughly 18½ centimeters, somewhere thereabout. So he's definitely a little bit bigger than your standard import, but that does allow for them to really pack him full of detail and articulation. So I am pretty pleased with that. This guy actually has probably the best accessories out of the whole bunch, and he's probably the best figure all around. But Luffy was lacking accessories. Law had some, but not a whole lot. This guy has a decent amount. So you can see quickly in the tray here, we have a nice batch of hands, 2 alternate faces, some hair pieces to work with the hat, 2 fire pieces for his fingers, fire pieces for his arm, and then the sword. The only thing we're missing is the fired bullet piece that, like, the even the Figure Arts figure had that, as lousy as that one was. He could use that piece, but still nice accessories. Actually, let's go through the accessories first. So you can see we have the 2 fist hands on either side. Nice sculpt work on there, fingernails and everything. So we have the fist hands. Then we also have these fingers, the 2 finger pointed hands for his bullet accessory, which isn't actually a bullet, it's just the flaming fingertips this time, unfortunately. And then we have the single finger accessory, which has a few varieties has a variety of posing options. But the one pose which most people will do with those is not on, oh, there it is. It's on the bottom of the box, that pose right there. So you can do that. And then lastly, for the hands, we have just the relaxed, almost gripping hands if you wanted them to be hands, which are nicely sculpted also. We'll talk about paint and everything later. We have 3 different faces. We have this one, which is kind of like the sideways smirk. By the way, his likeness is much, much better than the Figure Arts one. This is way better. It looks just like him, so that's pretty good. So we have that kind of sideways smirk. Then we also have the slightly angrier. You can see he's got the forehead wrinkles there, but these ones are a little bit more pronounced. And you can see he's yelling there and looking off to the side, so that's a good one. And then lastly, we have another sideways smirk, which is a little bit different. Pretty much just looking off to the side with a slightly furrowed brow. So we have some options there. And then we have the hat. So the hat for mine came in the package and it was pressed down like this, which means if I put it on him, this was going to be sticking out. So I just flipped this around and put it back in the package, and I think it'll probably hang nicely on his head now. So you can see the really nice detail is shading all throughout, nicely painted, nicely sculpted. So that'll go on his head, but it can't just go on his head because hair. And you know, figures don't actually have hair. So how this works is you have these alternate hair pieces and head pieces. So we have 2 here, the front and the back, and how that's going to work is like that. You put them together, and then you put them in the hat, like this. And of course you can put a face in there, because that's probably what you're going to want to do. But there you go. The one thing I don't like is that there's really no option to have this hang over his shoulder, like that, and go on his back, because this doesn't stay down. It'll end up sticking out like that. So it doesn't really work out. And you'll see in the photos at the end how it looks on his head. So we have that. And then we have his knife, which isn't really technically an accessory. And no, it doesn't come apart. But, I mean, it's an accessory, but you're going to just put it on his body like this. And it just snaps onto that peg. Little ball peg. Get that on there. And when we go over the articulation, you'll see that it could be obstructive a little bit, but mostly not too much, so that's good. Now let's look at the fire accessories. We have 2 of these, and how these work is you just take the fingers and go like that. Now he's got the flaming fingers, and it's a really nicely translucent plastic, and it shades from yellow to orange nicely. I said nicely twice there, but that's okay, it works. And the other one won't come out of the package, but we have another one that's similar. So you can do this, and then you've got them on both fingers, both hands, so that's cool. And then you have these kind of fire pieces that just clip onto his arms, which can be rearranged however you want to make him look cool. Very nicely done though, and these would go well with the figure would go well with the Tamashii Nation's fire display stage things, so that's a good idea. Alright, so let's look at the figure. Necklace is actually connected to his chest, but it is a separate piece, so it's not going to fall off, but it does look extra good. It's not just sculpted on there. Lots of really nicely sculpted detail. You can see the hair is done very well, the face looks good, the beads look good. The anatomy on this guy looks really good. They did a great job with that. They sculpted the wristband or elbow pad thing. The elbow joint even has a different sculpt on it, so that's good. We have the log post on his wrist here, and his little mini lifesaver wristband bracelet thingy there. That's a separate piece actually. The belt is sculpted particularly well, painted extra nicely. This is actually a separate piece. The belt itself here is a separate piece. Tucks in there. You can't undo that, but it looks like you can, so that's cool. Pants are sculpted really nicely with nice wrinkles. There's shading and nice paintwork for all of the pouch here and for the accessory sword knife thingy. So that's a good thing. And then the boots, sculpted well, painted well. The way they did the articulation is good. We'll look at that in a second. And the other thing I want to mention, these guys are absolutely nailing the flesh tones. They did such a good job with between the molded plastics and the light shading and everything. It just really emphasizes that sculpt even better, so that's really good. And then you can see the ace writing on his arm and the logo on his back, all very well done. Really, really pleased with this guy. So let's look at the articulation. The first thing, the head. We have a ball hinge in here, so that'll swivel around if you want it to. It's kind of stiff, but you can do it. That'll swivel around, but you're probably just going to use the hinge there. And then the ball peg goes into the head, like that, and you can see the lower hair is a separate piece, so that kind of just hides the joint a little bit better, so that's kind of cool. You can really get the head out however you want it. The neck is on a ball peg at the bottom. Takes a little finagling sometimes, but you can get the neck to move around however you want to, so that's really good. The shoulder articulation is fantastic. Not only does it look good, but it's super functional. So this piece up here actually tucks in, and you can raise the arm up higher, or you can pull it down. It doesn't have the greatest range of motion, but it's enough to be effective. And then this piece and this piece are actually a butterfly joint, so the whole thing can move in and out, and you can bring the arm all the way around. Now this one's butterfly is stuck on mine, but I guess it's probably not a universal issue, so cross your fingers for that. But the butterfly slash vertical butterfly, whatever you want to call that, is really nice. Then the arm is connected, and you can see on this one, since it's stuck, it's actually on a ball peg, so it does have extra play in there. And we have the hinge also, so you can move his arm around a whole lot. It works really well. We also have the bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which give him really good range of motion. Sure, it gets a little bit ugly once you bend it all the way, but because the rest of the figure is pretty good, I'm willing to overlook that the joint could be better, but it definitely could be better. I don't think it's enough of a problem on this particular figure to be a serious issue. And then the wrists are on your standard ball hinges. You can see that there, nothing special to point out. You have the swivel on both ends and the hinge. The upper torso, I can just show you. The upper torso is on a double ball peg, and the reason it works so well, it's a long ball peg. That's key. A lot of these companies give us these little short ones and they don't move very far. That's why we don't get the good range of motion. This guy, I'll talk about that in a second. This guy has really nice range of motion, and everything is hidden. There are no gaps every time you pose him, so you can really get this guy spun around no problem at all. Now the lower torso is a standard peg that goes straight down into here, and then it's a ball peg in there. And I think this is supposed to be glued because it doesn't serve a purpose with that ball at the other end. So it also falls off pretty easily. I think it's probably supposed to be glued, and maybe mine came loose. But I'm just going to glue that anyway because the ball peg will handle all of the articulation. But that also has a lot of play in it down there, side to side. And then even this piece, this one that this pegs into, is also on a ball peg. So you can really move this guy's torso all the way around, and it works really well and looks good while doing it. So it's super impressive. They did a great job. We have the floating crotch piece here, just like we had on Luffy and maybe on Law, I don't remember. But just like on Luffy's, this paint might crack if you have to force it too much. Good thing though, the way they sculpted it, you can bring the leg all the way up without flexing that crotch piece. really well done. You can bring this one back, that one up, pose them however you want to, no issues at all. You can bring the leg all the way out to the side. This one's a little bit more limited due to the knife. If you take the knife off, you won't have a problem though. All the way out to the side, no problem at all. You essentially just have a swivel at the crotch, a T-jointed ball hinge, and then the hinge here also. So that's really good. Thigh swivel, it does technically have a little bit, but not a whole lot. You can rotate the thigh in here if you need to, so that'll make up for it if you want. That's actually on a ball peg, so you can move the leg around in the shorts, depending on how you want to pose him. Double jointed knee, goes all the way back, literally. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, I've seen much worse. I've seen some better, but since it's so functional, I'm willing to let that slight lack of aesthetic goodness, I'll let it slide. And then for the ankles, we have just a double ball peg. So you can move the foot around, you give them the ankle rocker there, bring it back, forward. Pretty good range of motion. They could be a little tighter. They're a slight bit loose. Not enough to be a problem really, but you might want to put them on a display stage just in case. And then we have another joint hidden by this metal piece here, or the silver piece, where it's just a double ball peg again. But you can pop it out like I did and then move it around, or you can just push it back in and you have a more solid foot. Or you can just rotate it if you want to. Pretty much whatever you want to do. You have the hinge, effectively. It'll work for you. So yeah, his ankles are a little bit loose, and then I did have the one stuck shoulder, but this guy is a pretty darn impressive figure. Easily the best of the VAH bunch of one-piece figures. I'm really psyched for Zorro now, and Nami, and all the other ones. I can't wait to fill this line out. These guys are super impressive. I recommend them 100%. Stick around for photos here at the end. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And also, if you like this figure and you haven't pre-ordered it yet, click the link in the description below. They still have him available for pre-order, and it's most likely that once he gets in stock, he won't last in stock for very long. Ace is a popular figure, or popular character, and this is a really good figure, so make sure you do that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.